Okay, we've got to talk about UFOs and disinformation. Get in here, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Oh, and if you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below. Okay, here's what David Grusch said recently. Multiple esteemed and credentialed current and former government officials with long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country are engaging in a brazen disinformation campaign related to UFOs and U.A.P. That's huge, that's massive. Of course, that's nothing that we shouldn't have expected. We being the UFO community, there has obviously been a long-standing disinformation campaign going on to discredit the UFO phenomenon and probably plant false seeds of fake information within the community to send us down rabbit holes that don't exist, for example. But there have been others that have been talking about disinformation as well. So let's go over some of those comments. For example, we have Leslie Kean right here. Media could then become a tool for covertly controlling public perception, a mouthpiece for government policy and propaganda to debunk or ridicule UFOs. Public interest in UFO incidents was to be strongly discouraged and diminished through these tactics, and intelligence operatives could make sure that the facts were kept from leading researchers through disinformation. All of these recommendations were written in black and white by the CIA panel and then classified, and the public did not have access to the full report until 1975, when the explosive Robertson panel report was finally released in its entirety. And we also have comments from Richard Dolan from Theories from Everything with Kurt Jamongle.
Also true. Look. There are bots. Never ever underestimate the power of the intelligence community to screw up a field. Don't we all remember
there are
Snowden?
bots? What do you mean? You said
bots.
There are bots. As in
bot farms. Yeah, fake people. You know, we remember Snowden's revelations weren't that long ago. It was less than 10 years ago. And one of the things we learned from Snowden is that troll farms exist. GCHQ of the UK, that's their NSA. And I think the NSA itself, I think it came out, like they insert them, they have people on the payroll who pretend to be normal, genuine people, except they're not. They may have 10 different personas that they'll go around and just trash talk in various communities that they want to disrupt. Shit, the FBI was doing this with COINTELPRO back in the 1960s. You'd have people going in and infiltrating groups. Hoover was all over this. This is an old game. You have agents provocateurs. Joseph Fouché, back under Napoleon, began this technique over 200 years ago. It's nothing new. So that exists. So I don't want to encourage paranoia here, but the fact is that we don't know who all these people are. So
yeah, we don't. There are bots. There are fake people. There's disinformation. There's an active, possibly very widespread disinformation campaign going on. So what exactly are these pieces of disinformation? There's so much information out there in the UFO community and so many stories from experiencers, details about, classified programs, etc., etc. How much of that is genuine? How much of that is BS? Obviously, there's going to be some hoaxers going on, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about genuine, deliberate pieces of disinformation. A lot of that is going to be to make the subject one of ridicule and to discredit the UFO phenomenon. But I also suspect, in fact, I know that they have planted false seeds within the information that we're getting. I'm thinking, for example, of the Hal O'Donnell story reported by George Knapp. Hal O'Donnell was a former director of Area 51. And over a period of time, he would tell George Knapp bits and pieces of a really intriguing story about how there was a live being there at Area 51. It's unclear to me from this story of Hal's if that being was a captive or if it was a being working with the people willingly, helping them develop technology, etc. Could it be the Eben 1 story? We don't really know any details about that. So he told George Knapp the story over a period of time, a year or two, and asked George not to repeat it until within his lifetime, which George honored. And but after he told George this story, the Men in Black approached Hal O'Donnell, because part of Hal's story, and to clarify, was saying that the bodies recovered from Roswell, the Roswell crash or crashes, were alien in nature. And so the Men in Black approached him and told him to say, no, you can't say that. You have to say, you're going to report our version of the truth, which is that these bodies were not aliens. They were victims of Joseph Mengele. That's right, the evil World War II German guy. And so that was and they forced him to go with that story from that point on, saying that, I was wrong about the aliens. Actually, they were victims of Joseph Mengele. So, how much of the German World War II story has been planted? I have no doubt the Germans were up to some stuff involving the phenomenon in World War II, but I also suspect, based on that story, that a lot of that is also manufactured. They want us thinking it's mostly human, not mostly non-human. But, how much else is disinformation? What other widespread stories are disinformation? We need to identify that. We need to identify the sources of this disinformation. I'm thinking of all of the people that we now know are part of the control group, or are working with the control group either directly or indirectly. I've talked about that several times over the last week, and we've identified several really important people within the government that seem to be direct agents of the UFO control group. For example, Ronald Moultrie and various others, likely Sean Kirkpatrick, and many, many others. So, or at least, I think we've probably gotten up to about 8 or 9 now identified members of the control group. Again, either overtly or indirectly, through means of, persuasion by the big contractors and the politicians being swayed by a lot of money being thrown around. So we've been able to identify some agents of the UFO control group. Now we need to identify agents of disinformation, and specifically what disinformation is being put out. Obviously, a lot of the debunkers and cynics that are, possibly prominent. I'm not going to name any names, but those are likely candidates for some of this disinformation. But there are also false stories being put out about the phenomenon, and we need to identify those as well. So I think that's very important for us going forward. So let me know what you think is a good candidate for this sort of disinformation, what are the next steps that we need to take to identify that and to weed out the wheat from the chaff. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.